Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today is the day Steve is coming back to us. However, since we already can see him and his full abilities in the game, I wanted to talk about them because Steve has been changed. Last time we saw Steve, he did not have access to weakness, he did not have access to armor break, and his stats looked quite a bit different. Now, some days ago, I did make a video on history of Steve, how strong he was, and all that other stuff. However, right now, we already can see how strong Steve is going to be at a rank 5. He's going to have 31,000 HP, 2,390 attack at a rank 5 level. And where does it correspond? Before we actually jump to Steve's abilities, I want to kind of give a comparison for that. I guess we're just gonna jump to Aunt May for that. So here we can see that Blade as a 5-star rank 5 has 28,000 HP. Blade's not the biggest helpful champion, so but he has 2,640 attack. Crit rate and crit rating look fairly similar to what Steve has now as well. So previously Steve did have better stats though. First time around when Steve was given to us, we can see that he used to have 37,000 HP opposed to 31,000, so he has lost 6,000 health, and he also has lost some serious attack points from 2,700 to 2,390. So power wise, Steve used to compare at around 6-star rank 2 power level. Now he has been slightly downgraded to about a 5-star rank 5, which is still, in my opinion, very comfortable level of power currently in the game. Like, we can still use 5-star rank 5s for pretty much everything, especially in the solo content, so I am perfectly fine with that. And don't forget, you basically get this champion for free. Now, granted, he won't be the best. He won't be the toughest, and we're going to get there in a second. So, Steve also has a slight visual update, I think. I don't seem to recall that he had that red swirl on his face, but either way, let's check out his abilities, because we can now. First of all, we're going to see that now he has 40% chance to inflict a bleed debuff, dealing 1,195 direct damage over 15 seconds. That is not a strong bleed. That really is not a strong bleed. That bleed will be doing very, very little per tick. Or 15 seconds, so it's going to be doing like what? Let's do the math quickly. Let me move our calculator. So that bleed in that form. So if we have 1,195, it's total damage divided by 15, that would be per second. 79 divided by 2, because that's how much a tick is. That bleed is going to be like 40 per tick. That bleed is not going to be huge. But it's more than likely that you're going to be able to stack quite a few of them. But based on this ability, yeah, it's kind of like 40 per tick. Not massive. We're going to read the pre-fight abilities that we will only be able to use this month in a bit, but he has more abilities given to him now than he used to have, because previously he pretty much didn't have anything else. He had bleed and that's it, and he gained all of his other abilities by special boosts. Now you can see that special attacks gain one of the following buffs at random for 18 seconds. And it doesn't seem to say that it's max stack 1. So 18 seconds is a fairly decent amount of time if you're going to be spamming level 1. So it could be quite interesting, but either way, it's true damage, which unfortunately is pretty much the shittiest version of true strike, true accuracy, true focus, true anything. It just lets you ignore armor and resistances. Still occasionally useful. Or armor up buff, increasing armor rating by 3,000. That's a decent chunk of armor. Or most importantly, Fury, increasing attack rating by 2,000. And the Fury buff is definitely the jackpot, what you want to go for, because that will nearly double your attack rating. So it's going to be interesting to see how strong can Steve hit with that. And obviously with that, your bleed damage should also increase. Then Special 1 inflicts weakness debuff for 18 seconds, reducing opponent's attack rating by 30%. And Special 2 inflicts an armor break for 20 seconds, reducing armor rating by 3,900 and removing 1 armor buff. Now, that armor rating reduction is actually quite significant. To put in a perspective, Null is gonna be reducing, well, basically this 1 armor break would equal about 16 armor breaks from Null, because Null's armor breaks are like 233 or something like that. 3,900 is a very hefty armor break. Again, just to put it in perspective, we can take a look at 5-star rank 4 Howard the Duck, for instance, who spams a lot of armor breaks, right? And his armor breaks on, I think it's heavy attacks, they are 74. So they're very tiny. Who else does a ton of armor breaks? From top of my head, ton of armor breaks, who usually stacks them up. Cull's armor breaks are quite potent. Well, we can check out how it compares with Cosmic Ghost Rider armor break. Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to hit as hard as Cosmic Ghost Rider. He won't, because, you know, Cosmic Ghost Rider has 10 of them, or 15 of them, and he has Fury and everything else. But his armor breaks reduce 525, not too bad. And level 2 armor breaks are... Where are the level 2 armor breaks? Remove 1 armor, 17th. So it's kind of like 2.5 level 2 armor breaks. So it's a fairly chunky armor break, is what I'm trying to say. Right. So let's jump back down to 1-star. He's still the superior class, which is very interesting. Which is going to be the first and only champion that we have access to as a superior class champion. But let's take a look at those abilities that we will be able to use only this month. They do have different costs associated to them as well, as you can see here. So the Summoned Symbiote can gain persistent charges by entering quests that offer them via quest nodes only. Persistent charges are used to activate evolution abilities in pre-fight screen. Once activated, these abilities remain active for the rest of the quest. Each evolution grants 239 attack rating and can stack up to 3 times. And they have different costs. So first 3 cost 1, then we have some that cost 3 and 1 that cost 5. First one, reduce the opponent's nullify and stagger ability accuracy by 35%, and light attacks have a 30% chance to nullify 1 buff. Each time this nullify occurs, passively regenerate 470 base health. So if you have 3 of these active, then you basically guarantee all these effects all the time. In fact, medium attacks reduce evadability accuracy by flat 50%. Additionally, heavy attacks have a 60% chance to remove a bleed debuff from the opponent, replace it with a poison debuff, dealing significantly more direct damage, reducing the health recovery by 30% and reducing evadability accuracy by 50% for 16 seconds. So even one of these can completely shut down evade on opponents. That can potentially be helpful. Adapt. If the last hit is landed, was a medium attack, landing another medium attack grants a Fury buff for 9 seconds, increasing attack rating by very, very little. 191, that's pathetic. Bypassing 10% of the opponent's physical and energy resistance, which is also kind of meh, because you already have access to true damage. So this one doesn't seem too great, to be honest. Leech. For 10 seconds after throwing special attack, each time the Summoned Symbiote dashes backward, purify 4 debuffs and steal 10% of the opponent's current power, gaining 45% of the power stolen. Now that's kind of cool. I do like that. That Leech could be a very interesting ability, and it costs 3 evolutions. And Enrage, reduce the opponent's purify ability accuracy by 70%. Start the fight with a Fortitude buff, reducing incoming damage from all sources by 18%. Now, this is also kind of cool, because that would make him relatively suicide friendly as well. And you can stack this up, but it costs quite a lot. But, you know, still, up to maximum, if you stack 3 of these up, you reduce, like, what? 54% incoming damage? It's very cool, actually. Very cool. And the final one, the one that costs a ton, increase the potency, chance, and duration of all evolutions except this one by 20%. When struck, there is a 20% chance to gain an unstoppable buff for 2 seconds. The first hit of all special attacks inflicts a shrivel debuff, reducing the opponent's combat and ability power rate by 15% for 12 seconds. And the last hit inflicts stun debuff for 1.2 seconds. That's not bad. That's not bad. This is the costly one, though. This one would cost 5 evolutions. And we already went over the rest of the abilities. So, in his base, he's going to have access to very weak bleed debuffs, but since they last so long, I think you're going to be able to stack a ton of bleeds on opponent. You'll have access to some buffs, Fury, armor up through damage, even though it's kind of chaotic access. And the first hit inflicts weakness and armor break. Overall, for a champion that we are getting for free, I genuinely do believe he's going to have some uses, especially for newer and moderate accounts. Now, if we can take him in variant 4, that's going to be an entirely different story once again. That would be absolutely amazing. But even if we can't take him in there, I think as a 5-star, there will be people who can use this guy for like Alliance Quest or something like that if you have hardly any rank 5 5-star champions, because that is the power level that this guy is going to operate on. Like we can... For instance, I don't have a 5-star Scarlet Witch. Let's take a look at those stats again. And we can see that he's going to have 31k health, 2390 attack. And let's take a look at, let's say, 5-star Scarlet Witch. That PI matches thereabouts as well. It's not a huge difference. Scarlet Witch has 29,000 attack, so he has more attack, 2,437. So he has like averagely moderate stats of a 5-star rank 5. You know, they are lower than they were before, but I was kind of worried previously that once this event ends, they will nuke his stats down and make him in line with a 1-star champion. And seeing this, I'm quite confident that that won't happen. And this effectively means that we will get a free rank 5 5-star. That does very little, but still, I like it. And we also need to keep in mind, actually, what else he has going for him. We need to check what size he is. What size is Little Steve? And what other tags he has, if any. Tags and bio. So he's size large. So he's not quite good for the extra large variant. But he does have the Symbiote tag to him. He's not hero, he's not mercenary, and he's not a villain. Which is, you know, fair enough. And he's defensive utility. Not many tags there, but still. Okay, that is that. And that'll do for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about changes to Little Steve. Some stats are different, some abilities are new. And yeah, I am very, very excited to get my hands on this guy in about an hour and a half from me recording this video. See you soon, folks. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about